Ryan Reynolds stars as Deadpool in Deadpool 2, courtesy of 20th Century Fox. This column discusses the plot of Deadpool 2. There's no such thing as blockbuster season anymore now that Star Wars and superhero movies are released year-round. Still, with Memorial Day rapidly approaching and the temperature rising, there should be something refreshing about the return to theaters of Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds, the Merc with a mouth who best embodies his school out for the summer, yet feeling that's inevitable this time of year no matter how old you get. But considering Deadpool's purpose is supposed to be subverting his genre, Deadpool 2 is an oddly conventional superhero movie, a reminder that cussing and frank talk about sex and violence don't actually mean a film has a new argument to make. The sharpest contrast the Deadpool franchise draws with conventional, PG-13 superhero movies is that it makes the carnage inherent in the genre explicit. While the Marvel movies have unquestionably high body counts, mostly people are stunned, knocked out by powerful punches or felled in large fight sequences in which they don't seem like individuals. The Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, may have an extremely powerful robotic arm, but we don't see the crumbled trachea he likely leaves in his wake. Often, we learn the cost of superhero clashes through conversation. Wanda Maximoff, Elizabeth Olsen, volunteers for Hydra experiments because of trauma in her past. Zemo, Daniel Brühl, tries to set the Avengers against each other in Captain America: Civil War, out of revenge for the loss of his family in the Battle of Sokovia. When our heroes themselves are seriously, even gravely, injured, the damage is often presented in an artfully mitigated fashion or minimized by their superpowers. In Avengers: Infinity War, Gamora, Zoe Saldana, lies broken but beautiful at the bottom of a steep drop-off after her adoptive father Thanos, Josh Brolin, murders her in an attempt to gain an Infinity Stone. Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., staggers under the impact of a hard stabbing, the worst damage concealed by his iconic armor. And when Thanos eventually carries out his plan to purge the universe of half the population, our heroes dissolve like autumn leaves swept away on the breeze. It's a disturbing image but a lovely one. There's nothing wrong with using strong acting to convey the damage that these battles do. But there's no denying that restraint and abstraction define the house style that Marvel has adopted to keep its superhero movies in the most profitable possible sweet spot. Logan, James Mangold's conclusion to the Wolverine, Hugh Jackman saga, made the physical cost of superheroic violence clear. In that movie, it's simply common sense to acknowledge that when your hero and his murderous clone, also Jackman, have razor-sharp claws, what they do with those claws is rip through flesh and tear off limbs. Because Logan is also a movie about aging and vulnerability, it explores the physical costs of this sort of fight not merely for the people who are the victims of Wolverine's claws but also for Wolverine himself, who dies after being impaled on a tree branch. Deadpool goes a step beyond the character-specific violence of Logan to foreground the body-destroying violence that superheroes inflict on each other and on the criminals and villains they pursue. Throats get cut in loving detail. Limbs get lopped off. Most of the members of Deadpool's short-lived X-Force lineup die in deeply sickening fashion. When Deadpool gets tossed off the prison walkway and lands on a metal table in the floor, we see the full, sickening contortion of his body, and when he gets ripped in half, there's a whole lot of juicy viscera. There's some virtue to the reminder that superheroism is a bloody, unpleasant business. The problem is that Deadpool 2 smears this gore all over its characters and our retinas but doesn't do much beyond that. Much of the plot is consumed with trying to prevent Russell, Julian Dennison, who has the ability to shoot bolts of fire from his hands and who has been horribly abused by the headmaster, Eddie Marsan, of an institution dedicated to eradicating mutant powers, from starting down a path to mass murder. Of course, the way Deadpool and Cable, Josh Brolin, do this is largely by killing other people who stand in their way. Apparently, they're sufficiently stable that they can inflict vast quantities of carnage without completely losing it. And though Russell is dissuaded from committing his first murder, Deadpool 2 assures us that the universe is still morally balanced by having the headmaster get hit, and presumably killed, by a car. Violence is the answer, apparently. It just has to be committed by the right people. This means that Deadpool 2 makes essentially the same argument that the Marvel Cinematic Universe and DC movies do. They're all briefs in favor of a superheroic monopoly on killing, or at least on walloping people hard enough to subdue them. Deadpool 2 may be more honest about what that really entails, but it's still an argument for superheroism. Read more. Barry is a masterpiece about our inability to change and our ability to fool ourselves. Go ahead, Americans, enjoy the royal wedding. It doesn't make you unpatriotic. The Trump Show, Season 2, Episode 17, These Aren't People. They are animals.